Hey guys, how's it going? All Things Sports by Mike McIntyre here, and I'm back today to bring you a new video about a pair of shoes that I'm extremely excited about. We're going to talk colorway, we'll talk upper, we'll talk tech specs, we'll talk about fit, what they look like on feet, weight, everything you really want to know. And I'm hoping to get a bunch of different videos about this product up on my channel in the future. And it's just something that I'm ecstatic to have my hands on, and something I really want to show you guys. So without further ado, here it is. These are the brand new Adidas Ace 16 Plus Purecontrols. So these are the somewhat revolutionary laceless prime knit cleats, knitted cleats by Adidas that just came out a few weeks ago, and they've already made a lot of hype. There's a lot of buzz going around these shoes. So let's get into it. So as you can see from the box right away, it's somewhat special. I mean, it's not your traditional box. You have Adidas logo chromed out on the front. You've got this little handle to transport the box around. You've got some other branding on the sides and the information here. So you slide it out like that. This is the sleeve, and then inside the box you get a couple of extras. So you get an extra pair of insoles. We'll talk about those. You get the shoes, a string bag. You get a shoehorn. This will be really important later on. We'll talk about that as well. And then you get a couple of extra little pieces of information. So on this sort of card here, it's just a warning to talk about the chrome finish on the sole plate. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, and there's tons and tons of warnings. So so it just says quickly, the chrome coating on the bottom of this shoe will wear off during play, but will not affect the performance of this product. So they throw that in for you to know. You get this little tag that you also got on the Ace 15.1s to let you know that the sole plate is suitable for both firm ground and artificial ground surfaces. So they throw that in the box. Just quickly again, on the string bag you also get another warning. It says the color treatment will begin to wear off over time with use. So that's another warning for you, just to let you know that the paint finish on the sole plate will come off. So that's stitched directly onto the bag, and then within the bag you get the shoes. So here they are. We'll get them out, and then you even get another sticker on the bottom of one of the shoes. So I'm going to take that off. We won't really need that off anymore, but again, this is just another warning saying the exact same thing as on the card. The chrome coating on the bottom will wear off, so that's just warning. It won't affect performance, so you really don't need to worry about that. And let's just talk about the string bag for a second, because it's a black string bag, obviously, and it's mesh. So it's this mesh material, and it's quite unique actually. I haven't really seen one like this. They stitch it through the middle, so you actually have two compartments. You can see where the Adidas logo is, that's one compartment, and where the Ace logo is, that's another. So if you noticed, when the shoes were in the bag, if I put one in on this side, it is stuck on that side. You see, it doesn't slide down, so they've created like two shoe compartments basically, so it's kind of cool. So that's the string bag you get. And then obviously now I'll just get this out of the way because we don't need that for now. The extra insoles we'll talk about in a second. These we'll talk about the shoehorn when I put them on, but let's talk about the star of the show. So these are the new Adidas Ace 16 Plus Purecontrols soccer cleats. So these are made out of prime knit. So we'll talk about the colorway first, then we'll talk about the upper and what's going on tech-wise with this shoe. So obviously, first of all, colorway. They call it solar green, black, and pink. So you have your pink accents really just on this front pull tab and on the cleats, okay, on the tips of the studs. But besides that, there really is no other pink on the shoe visible. I mean, the insole is pink, as you can see, and the internal cage that we'll talk about a little later is pink. But again, that's not something that you'll see from the exterior part of the shoe. So you have the solar green, then you have black for the Adidas logo on the back here. The little Ace logo on the front pink pull tab is in black, and on obviously your three stripes, which also act as your support element on the lateral side of the shoe, are blacked out. So that's basically the colorway, and then we'll talk about the upper, because that's basically the entire video. At least that's most of the video. So there's a lot of concerns with this upper, a lot of talk about this upper and how it will hold up, obviously because there are no laces. So first and foremost, the upper is made out of prime knit. So this is Adidas sort of rival against Nike's Flyknit. So it's the same sort of idea. They take a knitted material, they knit it together, they weave it in different patterns depending on the portion of the shoe you're looking at. So you can see there's sort of a different pattern up here. It's different on the lateral side, a little different on the medial side, and obviously where the laces are, again, that's all prime knit. That's all exposed prime knit, which we'll talk about too. So the majority of the upper is made out of prime knit. Now there's two layers to the shoe. There's obviously the external layer that you could see that's pretty heavily reinforced, and then there's an internal layer. So that's what I wanted to mention before. So if you can sort of see, it's kind of difficult to show you guys, but there is a internal layer in there that's all pink. I don't think you're going to get a very good view, but hopefully you get the idea. So there's an internal sort of cage, I guess I'll call it, that's attached to this pink pull tab, and that's underneath this laceless area. So it goes from this part of the insole all the way around, wraps around the foot to the outside of the insole. It doesn't go all the way to your toes. It's sort of cut off here, but it's basically like, it's very similar to what you'll see in the X prime knit shoes, where it's got this sort of internal cage that's built into the tongue, and then when you pull the laces, that sort of just wraps your foot. So it's the same idea, it's just a little bit more reinforced. So that's built on the inside, and that's also made out of prime knit, and that is going to act as your sort of that's going to act as your lockdown. That's going to act as your laces, the replacement for the laces. So you have that on the inside, and then on the outside you have all this visible prime knit. So you have exposed prime knit here where the laces are, so that there's a bit of stretch and a little bit of give in the way the shoe fits, because obviously everyone has a different foot shape. So they're going to need this part of the shoe to give a little bit, ever so slightly, so people can get them in, and so that they can fit a wide range of people with different feet very, very comfortably. So obviously that part is exposed prime knit. You have the collar here, which is not nearly as high as the models from Nike, but in my opinion, I'll talk about that a little bit later when I put them on. I think it's a perfect height. It sits just below the ankle, and it has that sort of revolutionary new age look where it's sort of high cut, but at the same time it doesn't feel like it's getting in the way, and it's not uncomfortable. There's no discomfort in the heel, which is a big concern with the majority of the Flyknit models from Nike. So I think as far as the height goes, they got it perfectly. They nailed it. They really they got it perfect as far as the height of the collar goes. So that's called I believe Adidas calls it their prime knit collar, or their prime something like that. Their prime, yeah, whatever. Their prime knit collar. So that's built up there, and then you have the majority of the rest of the shoe. That's all prime knit as well, but it's reinforced with this sort of synthetic coating over the top to keep it. Obviously, it's going to act as sort of a wet, dry element to keep the shoe from soaking up a bunch of water when you're playing in wet conditions. It's going to provide durability to the upper. So it's not quite as it's not as thin as you might expect, the upper, because as you can see, like, it's plush when I push on it, but it's got to reinforce everything about the shoe. The upper is doing all the work because there are no laces. So the upper is a lot thicker than some people might expect, but again, it's not to the point where it's unflexible. It's still very comfortable when you put it on, and you can see it's quite plush, and in all the areas you need it to be solid, especially on the outside over here, it's solid and it's very reinforced. As you can see, there's not much give there, but in the forefoot and on the medial side, it's very comfortable, and there's a decent amount of give. And I'll talk about that again a little bit more when it's on feet, because there are no laces. The shoe needs to be reinforced in all these different areas, so the material is doing all the work. That's why it might feel, to some people, it might be, you get the impression that it's like this thin sock with no laces, but in actuality, it's a little bit thicker than you might expect, just because it's got to reinforce and provide enough lockdown, enough stability without laces, because laces technically do all the work, right? When you pull laces tight, it acts as the support system with the included sort of tech on the sides to wrap your foot and provide you with that lockdown when you're changing direction and running around. So that's pretty much the upper. I hope I covered as much as I can about prime knit. So it's thicker than you might expect. It's got several layers. It's got an internal cage. It's got the outer layers of visible prime knit knitted in different sort of weaves depending on where you're talking about the shoe. It's got this sort of silicone covering around the entire shoe, except for where the laces are, to provide it with a bit of durability, act as a wet sort of dry element, keep your foot, keep the shoe from soaking up everything. So that is it with the upper. And then the last part of the upper that I really want to talk about is these stripes. So these three stripes are acting as your lateral support system. They're made out of, from what I can tell, a sort of plastic material, and they're reinforced with more plastic that's blended into the color so that you don't see it. So if you've seen some of the concept pictures online, this sort of pattern in here, there's a bit of a zigzag pattern between the stripes. It was actually in black as well, so if you want to go look at those pictures, you'll see exactly the outline, because I don't know if you're going to see it very well on camera, but there's this sort of reinforced clear plastic, and then the stripes are blended in on top of that right here, acting as your lateral support element. So this part of the shoe is quite firm, let's say, because it's got to really prevent your foot from rolling over. So that is the only other extra sort of material on the sorry, on the boot itself. So this is acting as your support element. These stripes are doing a lot to keep your foot very stable, as well as the general thickness of the shoe. So those are acting as your support elements. And then we'll talk a little bit about the sole plate. So as you can see, there is a return of the sprint frame, and I think a lot of people, including myself, are going to be extremely happy to see this make a comeback. Adidas introduced this with their F50 line, the Adizero line to be more specific, back in 2010, and it was pretty much the exact same stud pattern. The only difference is a lot of the studs they used throughout those years from about 2010 to 2014, they were triangular in shape, whereas these are completely conical. But the layout is the exact same. You have your 4 on the heel, you have your 3 on the medial side, 3 on the lateral side, and that one sort of pivot stud in the middle with your 3 sort of stability bars running through the midfoot and heel area to give you that rigidity, give you that support, that stiffness that you need. And it's also keeping the weight of the shoe down. If they had to put a thicker sole on it, given all the material that they need to reinforce the actual upper, if they put a thicker sole on it, the shoe might not weigh as little as it does, because this weighs in at about 7.9 ounces if I'm not mistaken, so just around that 8 ounce mark. So it is quite light. I mean, obviously there's lighter on the market nowadays, but anything that breaks that 8 ounce sort of barrier, it's quite light. You're really, I mean, it's very light in hand, very light on feet. So if lightweight is something that is important to you, again, there's lighter out there, but you're not going to be disappointed with the weight of these, let's just say. So the sprint frame does have definitely does have a role in that. It's keeping the weight down, it's providing you with a lot of stability, the rigidity you need through the heel and midfoot, and you have the external heel counter that helps provide some sort of stability and lockdown in the heel that keeps your foot, planted on the sole plate. So great to see that back. I'm a big fan. I liked it very much on all the old shoes, and I still have a bunch of them that I could technically wear if I wanted to. So I'm very excited to see that the sprint frame makes its return. And the only other thing I want to talk about quickly is the stud pattern. So as you can see, these are conical, right? So I mentioned that on previous models they were triangular in shape, both on the F50 Adizero line as well as the Predator line for the most part, with the LZs and the LZ2s, and then even the Instincts. They were that sort of triangular shape. The Instincts got away from the sprint frame, where it had the control frame, they called it, but they kept the same outline of the studs and the same shape. And that stud pattern provided tons of bite, tons of grip, and it really worked well on a bunch of different surfaces. And it was probably my favorite stud pattern. So I'm extremely excited to see this. And now I think the only reason they put conical studs on these instead of that triangular pattern is they wanted to keep this shoe sort of firm ground, AG, accessible. They wanted to keep it open for both surfaces, because if you remember on the 15.1s you had the same sort of conical stud pattern, but then you had all the little studs running through, and that was really a true sort of AG firm ground stud pattern. It provided there was no pressure points because there were so many studs. It gripped into turf very easily, and it still allowed you to pivot. So I think the general gist of this whole idea was, how can we create a stud pattern that will be very strong and very provide a lot of traction on firm ground, but again keep it built in a way that will also work on artificial turf. So I think their solution to that was bring back the old stud pattern, just make the studs completely conical, so that you'll be able to pivot in the ground when you're locked in on turf, so that nothing really grips too much. It's not like bladed studs where they grip too much and you can risk some sort of injury. So That's my theory as to why they put the conical studs on, and they brought back this sprint frame. So all in all, I think it's a great idea. They've implemented it on all the other Adidas Ace models, from the Purecontrols to the Ace 16 Plus Prime Knits to the Ace 16.1 Synthetics to the leather version of them. It's all the same stud pattern. So you're gonna see this. I think you're gonna see this on you know. I think it will stick, because I think a lot of people like it. So that is the stud pattern. I've talked about the upper. I've talked about pretty much all the tech, and I'm just gonna show you. We're going to talk about fit, probably the most important part. We'll talk about fit, and I'll show you what they look like on feet. So just stay tuned. I'm going to slide them on. I'll show you how to get them on, and we'll be right back in a second. Okay, guys, so we're going to talk about how these things fit on feet in just a second, but I just want to mention the shoehorn, because they give you this for a reason, so my suggestion is use it. It's there for a reason, and it actually makes life a lot easier. So this, I'm going to suggest using this, so just give me 1 second. So this is how you get them on. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take, obviously, one of the boots. You're going to slide the shoehorn down the heel. So I'm sure a lot of people already know how to do this, so I don't want to make it sound too sort of elementary, but you're going to put the shoehorn down the back, wrap one finger through the front, one finger through the back, and it actually makes life a lot easier if you use this shoehorn, like I said. So you're going to slide your foot in, and then you kind of just push down, and voila, your foot's in. So you just sort of fix the collar if you need to. So you fix that collar, and then you want to pull this up just ever so slightly, because that takes that internal cage that I talked about, and it just pulls it up. So it wraps your foot very, very comfortably. You just pull that up and eliminates any sort of folds or rolls or whatever may have happened to the internal cage. And there you go. So there's one. And then we'll get the second one on. Just give me a second. So you put that in there, take your foot, and then just sort of slide it down. Voila. Fix that. And then pull that up. So there you go, guys. That is what they look like on feet. So from right out of the box, they're a lot more comfortable than I ever expected. They really are. If you have a fat foot, or a wide foot I should say, it almost serves as a good thing. I have a very, very wide foot, and it fills out the mid portion of the shoe extremely well. So they fit me very, very comfortably from right out of the box, and I was really impressed with how well they fit. So as far as sizing goes, there's a bit more room in the toe box area, so it's a little bit wider here. Very, very snug in the front, in the midfoot, and snug, but not quite as snug as the midfoot in the heel, if that makes any sense, if you follow me. So there's enough lockdown. There's, honestly, if you're just doing this in the store when I tried them on the first time, they're not going anywhere. If you get the right size, they really aren't going anywhere. Now, they're not going to fit everybody, unfortunately. For me, I think I'm lucky in the sense that they fit me very, very well. My foot is wrapped very, very snugly there. They fit well. They're comfortable. And they're not going anywhere. So that's what they look like on feet. You can see them from the sides, from the back. And I would suggest going to true to size. I got my my normal Adidas size in these, and they fit great. My toes right at the end. My toes are sort of brushing against the front of the shoe, and that's how I would suggest that you try and get them to fit. You don't want them too tight, because they might cause blisters and they might be too snug. So I would suggest going true to size for the best fit, and that's it, guys. That's it as far as fit goes. They're not going to fit everybody, unfortunately. Obviously, there's no laces, so you can't adjust how they fit. But for the most part, if you try them on, they fit comfortably snug, yet comfortable. Like, it's hard to describe. If you try them on and they feel too tight and they just don't fit right, you probably aren't going to be able to get used to them, because there's no way you can adjust them. But if you try them on, they fit very, very comfortably, yet snugly at the same time, and you want to give them a go for it, because I think it's a shoe that you're going to be very, very excited about. I am, and I think it's something that you'll be rewarded with in the end if you want to try a sort of new experience. And then I just want to talk about the collar quickly. Some people, I think, are a little put off by the fact that it's a little loose here, as you can see. But I think that is partly due to
the fact that they need to let a bunch of different people get their foot in. If it was very, very tight like the Flyknit ones, not as many people would be able to fit into them. So I think some people are a little put off or a little uncomfortable by the fact that there's a small gap here. But in actuality, it's really not affecting the fit of the shoe at all, because if you can see, there's sort of a seam right here. Okay, so if you see that seam there, and I believe there's one on the outside as well, right here. Those seams are sort of where the boot is actually starting. They're sort of the height of a traditional shoe. So that is where the shoe is actually wrapping your foot. So this is just allowing you to get it in, and then there's a slight extension of material just to sort of help the fit. But this is where it's really starting to wrap your foot. So I wouldn't be too worried about this part. If it was tighter, if it fit like, you know, like that, I think a lot of people would like it better. It might look better aesthetically too compared to this, but it really doesn't affect fit at all. So that's just something I wanted to mention about the collar. And as far as the height of it goes, I think it's perfect. Right around the ankle, right at the lower part of the ankle, not up here like the dynamic fit collars. But it's just, it sits perfectly, it's comfortable, and it looks pretty good too. So that's it, guys. That's it for the on feet portion. I'll just wrap it up in a second, and I'll leave you with my final thoughts.
Alright guys, so just to wrap it up, I just want to say quickly, this is something that we really haven't seen before. Now, we've seen a laceless shoe, mainly in the Lotto Zero Gravities. We've seen a knitted shoe, we've seen the higher cut, mainly from Nike in the last few years. But this is something completely new. It's taken all those ideas and turned them into one shoe. It's combined them all. So it really is something somewhat revolutionary. And I think that's part of the reason why there's a lot of hype around the shoe. There's so much buzz going on about this shoe, because we really haven't seen those three things, those three elements, combined into one. And just for that reason alone, I just want to say, if you guys can try these on, I would strongly suggest you do so before you buy them. This is a shoe that you won't be able to adjust later. There's no laces. I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory, right? There's no laces. Laces obviously allow someone with a thinner foot to make a wider shoe fit them better. If you have a wide foot and you buy a Vapor, for example, you can adjust the laces somewhat to make the shoe fit better. This, you can't do that. There's nothing that's going to allow you to tighten them, loosen them, and alter the fit in any sort of way. So if they don't fit you well from out of the box, unfortunately, I kind of have to agree with what other YouTubers have been saying, other reviews have been saying. If they don't fit you well from right out of the box, chances are they probably won't fit you very well at all. So unfortunately, that might be something that some people will have to live with. I got lucky in the sense that they seemed to fit me very, very well. They felt comfortable, they felt snug, and I was willing to give them a shot. And if you can do the same, I suggest you do it. I think this is going to be a very rewarding shoe. It's going to provide you with a feeling and experience that no other shoe ever really has before. So I'm extremely excited to give them a shot. I'm going to try and do a lot more videos about this shoe in the future, play tests, follow-up reviews, anything that maybe comes up in my experience with them. So just with that alone, guys, if you can try them on, try them on. If you buy them online, make sure that the website has a return policy, and don't wear them in an actual session, obviously, because then the store just won't let you return them. So it's just sort of a warning in the sense that it's something we've never seen before, and for that reason, I mean, the fit won't be for everybody. So I just want to say, just be aware of that when you buy them. As far as the shoe goes itself, it's honestly unbelievable. It's provided a feeling from right out of the box that I didn't expect. It's a lot better than I expected, and I haven't even worn them yet. So I'll be back for sure, I promise, with a bunch of follow-up reviews, how they fit, how they perform on the field, and stay tuned for that, because I think it's going to be very, very exciting. This shoe is going to provide a lot of excitement in the next coming sort of weeks or months or during its lifespan. So that's it for my review, unboxing, on-feet portion of the Adidas Ace 16 Plus Pure Controls. If you guys have any comments, be sure to leave them down in the comment section. I'll definitely get an answer out to you if it's a question or just something you want to mention. And stay tuned, because I'm definitely going to get some more videos up with this shoe. I have a couple other ideas in mind, so stay tuned to the channel for that. If you like the video, please leave a like. It helps me out a lot. And subscribe if you haven't already. There'll be a lot more videos coming out on performance gear and stuff like that. So thank you guys very, very much for watching, and stay tuned. That is the Adidas Ace 16 Plus Pure Controls. And as always, I'm Mike McIntyre. This is All Things Sports. Take care, guys.